Movie notes on The Great Race, 1965 film, 8 July 2025 viewing. Here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my movie notes for my Tuesday, 8 July 2025 viewing of the 1965 film The Great Race, which is a fiction film about a long-distance type car race starting in New York City and ending in Paris, France, with a focus on members of 3 of the vehicles present at the starting line, 2 male duos and a solo woman. And on the DVD itself, each of the corresponding cars, so this guy is like the head honcho of one of the cars, this lady is the solo lady, and then this guy is the head honcho of his car. And so you can think of each racing vehicle that has like a central component in the movie is represented on the DVD, so I thought it was kind of clever disc design. And in watching it this time, so it's a really funny one. I enjoy it. And so I decided for this one, a car essentials take. Okay, so since I've gone to F1 the movie a few times recently, as in twice in the past week in theaters, can I do a car essential take on this? So this is one where it's long distance. I was gonna say cross country, and I was like, that kind of has a stigma of like, but is it out in the woods? And, you know, one of them takes the wrong turn in Paris, France, and goes down some stairs. So in that sense, it's not always on the roads. However, I'm like, long distance might be a better term, but it's not long distance in like laps on a track. It's like start to end, kind of thing. So it's a little bit different than like Formula One or Le Mans racing. Context in terms of car evolution. So they had bigger wheels, and good for long distance, I'm guessing, and were at least semi-squatty bodied like modern day racing cars. So they weren't like some of the cars that are like really big and have space for a lot of stuff and a nice like metal roof. And these were like, you know, they looked like race cars, even if they didn't look like modern day race cars, and they still kind of had that squatty body. Like, as in squatty body, meaning it's kind of like wider than taller, like to like look at, kind of thing. And some had frames or were like convertibles, you know, kind of thing, had like a frame where they could have no top on. So yes. So they were like, and watching, I was like, it looks like a race car, maybe not a modern one, but it does look like one. I could still identify it was a racing vehicle. And so back to modern day Formula One Grand Prix format car racing, which I mentioned previously. F1 the movie has its last showing in the Cinnabar I attended. So when I went previously to F1 the movie, the last showing of F1 the movie is on Thursday, 17 June 2025. So I've brought up I might go again. So if I want to go to that same theater, I got a week and 2 days to get it done. So just keeping you in tuned there. And then this one kind of has a romance component to it, so I challenged myself to a few other things. And I only got as far as bracket 3 for my non-divine time stand still when I see my soulmate waking mode virginity loss. Bracket 3-1 my Kyle Chalmers. So brackets can have up to 2 people and as little as 1 person. And in a bracket with 2 people, the first one is first and the second one is favorite. And so in brackets where there's only 1 person, they are both first and favorite. Okay, and the person who's second is allowed to challenge the person who's first if the person who's first allows for a challenge. Okay, so that way both male, or I define the bracket, but the male gets a say in that sense in terms of ordering, and it allows for the men then to kind of entirely determine the sequence. Yes, so male and female influenced virginity loss for me and my soulmates. We're trying. And then up last, can I provide an asexual automobile racing take on this movie for this viewing? So a lot of you guys are like, you are a little bit different. We think it's because you're an asexual, so then my sexual orientation is asexual. So I was like, okay, well, what might that mean in this movie? And so this is what I came up with. Can I provide a take for you at that intersection of asexual and automobile racing? Yes. What is the worst crash I would allow for my Lewis Hamilton and my Brad Pitt? A compound fracture type break in one forearm after my Lewis Hamilton compound fracture breaks my forearm by squishing me when we are making love. A lot of people like to tie successes or failures or whatever to like potential for harm or heartbreak or sex or stuff like that. And I was like, that's the most severe I could come up with, and that would really hurt. And I'm like, also like, how does that happen? I'm 5 foot 7.5 inches. My Lewis Hamilton is 5'9". How does he break my forearm? Which forearm? Or my forearm by compound fracture by squishing me when we're making love. That sounds like an eternal glory kind of feat there, my Lewis Hamilton. Okay, anyway, those are my movie notes on The Great Race, 1965 film, 8 July 2025 viewing.